It's deja vu. Oh, I thought I was going to have to do the intro again.
Nobody else saw that deja vu, so it's just this is the first time it's happening. It's not the second time. That's not why we're 3 minutes late. It's not because I forgot to hit go live because we haven't done a live stream since last night. That's fine. Welcome, everyone. Jen, call it to order.
Sure. I, Judge Jen, call the 8th meeting of the Forever 44 Fedora Club to order. Boop, boop.
Nice. Gavel of the meeting.
Gavel of the meeting.
Thank you so much for checking us out here. It has been a while since we've done one of these Forever 44 Fedora Clubs. Clearly, I guess I forgot everything. We got 60 minutes here. We're jumping right in as this month marks the 40th anniversary of Raiders of the Lost Ark. So here with the Fedora Club per se, it's all about the world of play. The Fedora being like what represents my own personal world of play. It's how I remain playful, not because I'm some kind of tool. Okay, so we're gonna introduce
the audience would like to debate.
Yeah, I know. Debate amongst yourselves whether Frank is a tool because he wears a fedora. And we're gonna jump right in with the introductions. Please welcome, of course, the president of the Forever 44 Fedora Club. I think we call him the Crown Prince here. The Crown Prince of the Forever Fedora Club. It's Landon the Dazstone.
Oh, hi, everybody.
Got his crown on.
Yeah. You got to stick to the gimmick. Y'all are representing the gimmick. I got to stick to my gimmick. Fun backstory. I had to go digging through boxes because my mom watched my condo and I guess more accurately the dog while I was down at Disney the same week as Frank. And like moms do, she decided to rearrange everything. So I had to go digging to find my crown and, of course, my royal kick-ass scepter.
Yeah.
Good.
She didn't realize how important the crown was.
Clearly not. She does not respect the Oh, man, I couldn't find my rings. Crap.
No.
By the way,
been a while since we've done.
It has been a while. By the way, the intro that y'all didn't see, straight fire. I don't even understand why we're continuing to do this. I don't think we're going to top what the audience missed out.
It's some of the best stuff we've ever done here.
Clearly.
I sang. It was amazing.
There was costume changes in like 90 seconds. Full-blown choreography and fireworks. Wow.
I know. Maybe another time.
Oh, man. Well, Len, thanks for being here on a Friday. We'll talk about your moonshine later on.
Yes. It's been a very fun afternoon, believe me.
Here he is, the treasure historian of the Forever 44 Fedora Club. It's Nate Hardy. Nate.
Hey. Hi, everyone. How are you?
Hi, Nate.
Oh, it's great. Having a good time in the backstage area with all the jokes and the costumes. It was so lively. It's awesome. I can't wait to hear about the moonshine. Everyone's been talking about it. So
good. There'll be a common theme here.
Yep.
Yeah, spoiler alert, Landon got white girl drunk this afternoon.
Charter member of the Forever 44 Fedora Club from the Morning Monorail. The big fat launch is happening June 14th. Here he is. It's Justin. Why did it have to be Snake's Monorail?
Well, I'm so excited to be talking about Star Wars tonight, guys. I love Han Solo.
Star Trek is gay. Let's all talk about it.
Oh, are we not doing that? I was confused. I'm sorry. Maybe I jumped the gun a little bit. But Frank, Jen, lovely to see you again. So happy to be here. Nate, of course. Your reputation precedes you. We're on good terms. We're all good. We're bros.
I think so. We came close beforehand, and it's also
we worked it out.
Judge Jen mediated. Everything's fine, guys. Yeah, everything's fine. Everything's fine.
And of course, all hail the Burger King. So it's good to see you too, sir.
Yes, and may Whoppers be to you and yours as well.
I just kicked Charles out accidentally. I think
take that, Charles.
He's back. He's back.
Here he is. He's like, hey. Coming up as Cosmo.
Hello, Charles.
Hey, Charles.
Cosmo, how are you?
Hi. I am. It's been months. It's over a year in lockdown, and I still feel no confidence in changing my name down there.
Fair enough.
Nice.
And in honor of Indy, Did I miss any sort of food tips? I might have missed it.
No, we're jumping right in. We got too much to talk about. No food, no eating or drinking. Just we're all on our own drinking tonight. I think we're okay with that.
I bought a Tunguska from Brew Kettle, which is, I guess, when a radio or antimatter asteroid hit Russia and blew everything down. This is in honor of Indiana 4, where he jumped in a refrigerator.
Sure, we'll
obviously the best Indy movie. I mean, we're here to discuss that, right?
I'm sure we'll touch on it ever so
that
gently.
beer belongs in a museum.
And before we jump into Raiders of the Lost Ark, we have a guest, Jen, live on location from Universal Orlando. It's Steffers.
Steffers.
I'm just the idiot walking around with my phone like 5 feet from my face.
Don't worry, there's dozens of you. Like believe me.
This is Orlando.
Everyone
We're used to vloggers.
I mean, also true. Also true. Hello, friends.
Hello, Steffers. How are you?
Where are you right now?
I am passing by the horror makeup show that is actually not playing right now. I'm trying to figure out what to eat. I was going to get bumblebee tacos, and that line was way too long for just me. So I think I'm gonna hop to Islands.
Oh,
so that's my plan. I rode the Velocicoaster. I know you all saw. I know you all saw.
So did you didn't like it, right?
Just wow. Just wow. That's all I have to say. People, that's all I gotta say.
Right.
Did it take your breath away like it did Justin when Justin talked about it on his podcast, on the Morning Monorail podcast?
My thing is, I did hands up, by the way.
Oh,
don't think I told you.
Wow.
Up. But when you do the roll over the water, I put my hands up, thought I was gonna fall, and I hugged the seat backwards. And that is how that went. But I didn't puke. I didn't feel nauseous, and I could probably ride it 2 times, maybe 3 in a row.
Wow.
Wow.
You know,
impressive.
Very impressive.
Theme Park Rob would not have let you.
For 2 seconds. Sorry.
Oh, okay, go ahead.
It's one of them pterodactyl things from Jurassic World. Run, Steffers! Go to Margaritaville!
I need another drink. I need to get on Landon's level, evidently.
Yeah. Who doesn't need to get on Landon's level?
I mean, I had one drink so far. The night is
come on,
young.
Steffers.
The night is young.
That's smart. Pace yourself, young Padawan.
Okay, whatever. I mean, I just wanted to say hi. I might pop in later.
All right. You jump in whenever you want.
Have fun.
Feel
Enjoy
involved in
you.
the stream.
Bye,
We know you're
guys.
watching.
Enjoy free food.
Have fun.
Bye.
Bye. All right, let's get to it. Raiders of the Lost Ark, as I mentioned, debuted in June of 1981. Let's go around. First time that you saw Raiders of the Lost Ark, I was clutching a wall in the movie theater. You know, during the finale, the climax of the movie. That is what I recall most in the summer of 1981. Was just clutching the wall in a scene that I have not yet watched since that day.
Wow.
Interesting.
Really?
You're afraid of
God,
monkeys, aren't you?
That I finally started watching the Carbonite scene about 5 years ago. So, you know.
God.
You're a
Things
strange
terrified
duck,
me.
Frank.
Whole thing terrified me at age 5 and 6. So that was it. You can't.
And I've seen this man eat buffalo wings that have been strapped to a ghost pepper.
Ugh. That sound you hear is my innards clinging to my stomach while just thinking about that. Lord in heaven.
Good.
Oof.
Charles, when was the first time you saw Raiders of the Lost Ark?
1981. My dad, I was taking some acting lessons, so the family got to see it before I did, and they were like going nuts over it. And my father rarely gushed over movies, so it was like, oh, I want to see this. And then I saw it the next day. Actually, one of the biggest impressions. Well, I don't know if we're getting into review section yet, but yeah, I was knocked out. I was just like, oh my God, what? This is so good. And it's not quite time. It's better than some of these old black and white serial reels I've seen, which I guess, it's the inspiration for
Yeah.
Lucas Spielberg. But this was good. So yeah, 81. Woo.
Yeah, that was me. I was looking it up today that it came out the same weekend as Clash of the Titans, which is a completely different movie altogether. And then the week before, I guess, Superman 2 and The History of the World Part 1, maybe. Like those are the 4 movies that were happening during June of 1981, which are just 4 things that we can we could really tackle if we really wanted to. Nate, when was the first time you saw Raiders of the Lost Ark?
June 17th, 1981.
Oh, yeah.
It
Nice.
was my birthday and the first sleepover that I ever had. I turned 8 and all of my friends came. We took over a row and my mom wouldn't let me watch the final scene. So she was sitting at the end of the row and passed a telephone for all my friends. Make sure Nate covers his eyes.
Oh my
God.
That's amazing.
She should have just put me in a dress or something. I mean, it was so horrible.
Now everybody in the theater turn around and point at my little Nady and laugh. It's his birthday, okay?
Yeah, but I got back at her because when we got back at the house, I was the first one to fall asleep, and she had 12 8-year-olds to deal with. So,
wow.
I thought you were about to say, and I also had my hand put in the warm water as a prank because I was like, wow, what a birthday.
It was great. I loved it. Like Charles was saying, it was just amazing. It blew me away, and loved it ever since.
I guess we're going in age order. So it's Jen before Justin, I think. Jen,
no,
do you
Justin,
recall?
Justin's first.
No.
Justin's older than me.
Incorrect.
Let us not forget. I tried.
Jen, I don't even know if I know the answer to this because I think we were, Last Crusade is probably your first Indiana Jones recollection.
Yeah, I honestly don't know when the first time I 1981, guys. It was totally 1981. In the womb.
You're not 40 yet. No, that's true. You were there in the womb.
Wow. There you go. Perfect. Well, then that is the first time I saw it. And I was just like, wow, whenever I get out of this place, big things are happening. It's
Why is
crazy.
touching the walls of the movie theater?
Frank was clutching the walls of the theater. Jen was clutching the walls of the stomach. So
right. Get over it. You're fine. Just
escaping the womb, much like escaping a tomb. It's
exactly. Hey now.
Find the light. Find the light. Justin, over to you.
Only a little bit, Lewis. Only a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, similar to Jen, of course, this movie came out before I was born. It's one of those movies that I feel like I've always been aware of because it was one of my dad's favorite movies growing up. And I remember, I feel like I probably saw Temple of Doom first. That's the one that I think left a bigger impression on me as a kid, because it was, in my mind, when I think about it, I think of it as being sillier and a little more, I don't know, like off the wall, kind of wild. But Raiders was one that I think grew on me over the years. It's kind of a similar thing to my experience with Star Wars, actually, because as a kid, Return of the Jedi was always my favorite. And as I grew up, I grew to love Empire so much more. And that similar thing has happened with Raiders for me. Raiders has definitely grown in my estimation as I've viewed it more and more and seen it kind of through the years. And I never even realized that Temple of Doom was supposed to be a prequel. I never knew the timeline. Right. That didn't make sense to me. But yeah, I just, like you talk about the last scene, that was probably one of the reasons I stayed away from it a little bit more. I don't know. I guess pulling a heart out of a chest was easier for me to watch. I don't really know why.
Yeah.
But yeah. But now I absolutely love it. And Indiana Jones, the series, it's just as important to me as like Back to the Future. It's up there in the level of Star Wars. I love the series. I'm sad about 4, but other than that, I'm okay.
You know, we're hitting 4 for a little bit.
Oh, we got it. We got scored.
Landon, what was the order? Did you see Raiders before the rest, or did you see one of the others before Raiders?
This was my introduction into the Indiana Jones, I guess, series trilogy at the time. And I was actually introduced a little bit later in life. I want to say I was like between that 9 to 11 range. I remember watching this movie over at my friend Matthew Coran's house. We were doing a sleepover and we had a whole bunch of friends. We, played with toys all night. And as we went to bed, this is the movie we watched. And it's like, this is one of the series that I feel like I have grown to appreciate more, because growing up, this was always the other Lucas film franchise. Because I grew up a Star Wars kid, also kind of introduced late in the scheme of things to Star Wars. But Indy was also like that's cool too. But it's like, as I kind of like Jay, as I have gotten older, this is a series, particularly this film, I've come to really appreciate. And one of the reasons I appreciate this film a lot, it doesn't have Kate Capshaw shrieking like an idiot for like what 70% of the movie. So.
I think that's I think one of the things that really, when I was reviewing it today, and part of my thought process on it, of why to me Raiders and Last Crusade work versus Temple of Doom and the Crystal Skull, is because of the strength of the ensemble around Indiana Jones, where it's not as strong in Temple of the Doom and Crystal Skull. And yes, some of the players are the same in Last Crusade and Raiders, but obviously Sean Connery is going to take it up another notch in Last Crusade. But here especially, and I noticed that was one of the things that was focused on when putting the script together, was strengthening the characters around Indiana Jones. And I do think that was a big part of it. And part of that also was because I was watching Raya and the Last Dragon this afternoon, and I noticed similarly how the supporting players were kind of lifting Raya at the same time. It almost felt like the same kind of formula. So that really struck me more this afternoon than anything else. But Kate Capshaw is a great point.
and it's a shame, because like the framing of Temple of Doom, I think, is one of the stronger ones of the whole Indiana Jones franchise. Like everything going on, I think, is so cool. It's captivating. But Kate Capshaw, just with her incessant shrieking and like eating of the scenery, it's like I could appreciate some hammy acting if it's fun. But what we got with her is just like, okay, all right, I understand you're married to Steven Spielberg, but come on, please, just take it down a notch.
This was the mating ceremony, because that's
okay, all right, fair enough, yeah.
Well, she was no Karen Allen, that's for sure.
No, yeah.
Definitely true.
If you had to, Kate Capshaw aside, and I guess I just mentioned the supporting cast, but if there was one thing you could really, if you had to say one thing about Raiders of the Lost Ark that said this is the reason that this movie is what it is, if you just pick one, because there's multiple reasons why Raiders of the Lost Ark is the way it is, what really jumps out at you as the thing of like, this is why this movie is what it is?
Let me jump in here first. Like it's one of the most iconic scenes in all of cinema. Indy running from the boulder. I mean, like I knew of that scene before I knew whatever Indiana Jones was. It's like I think Muppet Babies had that in certain shots. So it's like I was introduced to that. Like I knew the dude in the hat was running from the boulder long before I knew what an Indiana Jones was. So that to me, it's like, if I think of this movie, that is what stands out for me.
Yeah, for me, I think it's hard to boil it down to like one thing. I think Landon's right. It's a strong intro, but it's strong throughout. I mean, it doesn't give you a lot of chance to catch your breath. It's just like nonstop, like action scene to action scene that like once it's over, you're like, that was it. That was fast. Like it goes that quickly for me.
Right.
One of the times you do get to catch your breath is after that first opening scene, which is great. We have Indy in his classroom teaching. And I really like that from that moment through where he explains what the Ark of the Covenant is to the government agents, because we get a sense of, okay, there's some humor because the girl's flirting with him with a love you written in her eyes. And,
great penmanship, by the way.
And he's a little, and we get the sense that he's a little dashing, and he likes the younger girls apparently. And then he says, "Oh, I got these great pieces, but the real piece got away from me," when he's talking about his trip. So you get a sense that things are serious for him too. So there's a little bit of humor. There's the Lothario kind of aspect and his seriousness in archaeology. And then when he really gets into it, when he starts explaining the Ark, I think that's one chance we have this huge action sequence, and then we get a sense of what the rest of the movie is going to be like in these short little scenes there.
Yeah. Charles?
Sorry.
Jen?
No, I was just going to say that I was reading that they were thinking of having him be like more of a playboy. And so early in the movie, in his apartment, he's in the robe and all that. In that same scene, he had a girl in the apartment, and they cut that scene out, and they decided they didn't really want him to be like a playboy. But like the whole intro in the movie and that whole classroom scene is kind of making you feel otherwise. So it's like, and then they're like, never mind, we're gonna go this way a little bit. So that just made me think of that as Nate was talking.
They continue to play on that through the series too.
Yeah,
so I don't know why they.
I know, like we don't think this is it, but a little bit. So
I didn't realize how young Marion is supposed to be until way later. That she is the younger, or maybe the only daughter, I don't know, of his mentor, but she was like supposed to be 17 when they met, or something like that, maybe younger.
I know that Kasdan, when he was putting the script together, had whenever their initial meeting, their relationship was, that she was a teenager. I don't know if I know what his age was during that time, but I know she was portrayed to be younger when they were together.
Yeah, it sounded like it was a lot younger. But
script, she says that I was a child. And, sort of went right over my head. Speaking of going over my head, my sister didn't realize that Professor Jones and Indy were the same guy. She saw the movie.
That's funny. Charles, it's funny. It's so funny you say that, because in this viewing today, when I watched it through, I was thinking Indiana Jones really is like a totally different character when he's wearing the suit in front of the classroom as Professor Jones. Like he comes across totally different. And I even think it's down to like his mannerisms and stuff. He comes across like a little more closed off, a little more reserved. And I think, Val was saying that it's what caused the fallout with the mentor, and Lewis said, I thought the school scene made him seem oblivious. To me, it was more like, I don't have time for this nonsense. I'm involved in teaching and the archaeology. Like it was more like this is all noise and a distraction. But when he's in the Indy clothes, it's a totally different dude. It's like he puts on the superhero suit. That's what it feels that way.
Joe in the chat almost says exactly what I wanted to ask. Is this almost like a superhero persona? It's Professor Jones versus Indy, like kind of a dual identity thing.
Which is why he has the name Indiana, right? It's not even his name.
Right. The dog. But
it's the dog.
You were named after the dog.
In the third movie, that Professor Adventurer kind of comes together in that scene in the library where he's looking around for the symbols, and then he breaks through the floor to get to the crypt. So, I never really thought about the double life of the Batman aspect. And it seems that maybe as we got to that third movie, his life is kind of joined. The two parts of his life have joined. And that's when he really starts to get in trouble, especially with the Nazis.
Oh, those Nazis.
Well, yeah, and I think the other thing that really, besides the supporting cast for me, what really jumps out is obviously there's just this incredibly strong foundation of history, and I'm going to say mythology. I don't want to get into a religious conversation, but there's these grand tales like just laying underneath it of mythical proportions, and I'll say it both ways because that some of the historical aspect is also like just unbelievable to believe it that this actually happened, and I just think from that they were able to be really flexible with the presentation of the characters, and that I think I saw that the love you was like added last minute. Harrison Ford had flexibility with his dialogue per his contract. You hear the story of the scene with the swordsman, and he had the fever, and he was sick as a dog that day, and that's how the gunshot came to be. So I feel like because everything was so rich underneath, that they were able to kind of just relax and play with how the characters were presented.
I am glad you brought up the scene of the swordsman versus his gun, because like I almost said that's the scene that sticks out most to me. It's like just this guy over here just cutting air. It's like, I'm the baddest badass of everything you've ever seen, hat wearing dude, and then he's like, all right, bang, just so dang funny, so great. Oh, I love it. And I mean, another thing I love about this movie, killing and beating up Nazis. What's not to love about that?
I mean,
that's right.
Mm-hmm.
I watched this. I hadn't seen the movie in a while, and I watched it a couple of years ago. I came into the hotel off the tour, and I sat in the hotel. Actually, that was another movie. It was here. I come in, and I sat down, and I'm like, oh, Indiana Jones. Man, I ain't seen this in a while. I'll just watch a little bit of it. A little more. Next thing I know is, they're locking the thing up in in the desert. And I'm just like, wow, this movie is relentless. And it holds up. It's staggeringly so holds up.
Mm-hmm.
It was just like, it just doesn't stop. And it's not completely rushed. Like I've seen movies that, just sort of like, oh, time for an action sequence. And they don't drag, but they don't zip to the next action sequence. And everything's very organic, but it's well paced from action diversion to the next action diversion. I mean, in the desert, you got the getting out of the tomb, the flying wing, chasing the truck. That's a massive sequence, but and you get a little breather, and then it's like, nope, trouble again. and it's just they don't waste too much time. I mean, I know nowadays they would, your online reviewer would say, yes, but what is Belloc's background? We learned almost nothing about him. Why do he and Indy have this thing they have? I think they wasted an opportunity in not telling us. I'm like, he's the bad guy. Mm-hmm. He's a charming bad guy. Mm-hmm. The Nazis not.
Thank you. Yeah, Nazi equals Nazi. Yeah,
he's slightly more elegant than a Nazi, but he would kill both Marion and Indy to get what he wants. He didn't want to, but he'd do it. So it just
made me realize that that's a similarity with Star Wars, because we don't have a backstory of Tarkin. We just know he's a bad dude, and this is Belloc. Is the same kind of thing. We know he's Indy's rival. He will do a lot to get what he wants, and that he doesn't have a lot of scruples. But that's all we need to know.
Shit.
Yeah.
I mean, he actually does explain some of his motivation when he's talking about burying stopwatch. Mm-hmm. We know he has this craving, but why it's so warped and how did he get here? I don't need a musical on Broadway.
You don't want to see Baby Belloc in another prequel movie? We could probably see that,
What about Indiana Jones, Turn Out the Lights?
Yeah.
That worked so well for Spider-Man.
Oh.
Well,
that's
what you're saying just about the characters, like it's so true. That parallel was something that was striking to me, comparing it to Star Wars as well, in that you get this culture shock of it drops you in the world. This is what's happening. Like, it starts out with you're already on an adventure and you meet characters that Indy has this background with. You don't really know their backstories, and they're not going to tell you. You just know they have a history, and it just builds on that. Like, you don't necessarily we don't need it. Like you all were saying, we don't need that. Let's just, we're in it. Let's go. We don't need prequels showing Indiana Jones as a baby. Like, I don't need that sort of thing.
Didn't they do that as a TV show though?
Well, young Indy, but at least he wasn't a baby.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Yeah.
I love that show.
Shout out to Skipper Bob, who's missing his first meeting tonight. He's sitting at the head of the table, I think, or something like that.
Say hi to Vince McMahon for us, Skipper Bob.
We miss you.
We miss you, Skipper Bob. I think I think that it's a great point about, like, we don't need to. It's so focused in the moment that, like, even in The Last Crusade, you didn't need to, like, revisit what was happening in Raiders. They seem connected, but they're still their own separate thing, and that's what works about it really well. And I guess thinking ahead to number 5 too, which we can touch on that in a little bit as well. Is there moments from the movie, because we talk about the iconic moments, right? It's the boulder is as iconic as, like, Jimmy Stewart getting chased by the plane, and all these classic old time moments in movies. Are there smaller moments in the movie that also, like, strike you just as much as the swordsman scene, the boulder scene, the snakes scene?
Yeah, that right there.
Nate, you go first, but I've got a good one too.
Oh no, the bad dates, where he catches the date, and you realize that there's a lot more going on than just this small group. There's a whole world out to get them, and it ups the stakes. And that's one thing I always remember. I love that scene. Sorry, go ahead, Justin.
Oh no, I didn't want to interrupt you, but one of the things I noticed tonight, feel free, all of you, if you want to collectively roll your eyes when I say this, I really will not mind. But this may come as a shock. In the last couple of weeks, I watched Casablanca for the first time ever. The scene where Indy walks into Marion's bar is straight out of Casablanca. Like, it is exactly when Elsa comes into the bar and she disrupts the whole thing, and he's like, of all the gin joints in all the world, why'd Marion practically says that to Indy.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah.
Right.
I'll have to go back. It's been a while since I've seen Casablanca. I probably should watch it again. Especially, it's all connected into that world. Especially, that's a good one. Charles?
I think, there's so many for me. That's what, but when before the knife attack in the market, one Nazi comes in, looks around, the other one comes in, and he's silhouette. They're pretty much silhouette. You can see a little bit, but just that huge hat and just that nod to the attackers. That's just great cinema image of one guy walks in, looks around, the other guy walks in and says, "Go get him." And it's just it's gorgeous. Once again, we don't need backstory. They're the bad guys. We can tell. He did it all visually. Bravo. There's quite a few things, and that's his. I don't know if his favorite cinematographer was working with him at that point, even, but there's a lot of the silhouettes, shadows, push in focuses, like in some of the better scenes, and the close up where the camera goes in for the close up, where he's standing there with the kids when he's about to free the kids, and the mining cart's being wheeled forward, and the light just catches him and it pushes up towards him, and he's standing there like, "Nah, y'all ain't getting past me." And that's one of the most beautiful moments in that movie for me. That I'm going to free this kids after all this crap I've been through. That's the most important thing to me. And there's that's a Spielberg, and I forgot the guy's name, the cinematographer's name. But there's you look for those moments in this movie of just great cinematography and moments that don't feel really forced, but really pack a punch.
Yeah. Landon, you going with the snakes? Is that what you're going to go with? Or?
Yeah, like speaking of cinematography, and I'm a sucker for a great one-liner, snakes. Why did it have to be snakes? Jay has it in his moniker tonight. Like, that's such a great line. And then the way they shot that scene, like having the plexiglass between Indiana Jones and some real-life GD Cobras on the other side. Like, depending on what version you're watching, you can kind of see as I smack my mic, neat. Like you can kind of see the reflection of Indy in the plexiglass, but he is face to face with the Cobra delivering this line, and it's like just one of those iconic things. It's like I talked about, him shooting the swordsman or him, beating the bejesus out of Nazis. That's always great, but snakes. Why did it have to be snakes? And it's like, I'll be honest, I've heard that line transcend into real life. Like just like living in East Tennessee, there are tons of snakes. And on the few occasions that I have gone outside in my life, sometimes me and my friends, we do see snakes and we're all nerds. And guess what they say? Why did it have to be snakes?
Yeah, I was in Knoxville and doing my show, and the people in the crowd started acting weird and pointing. I'm like, what's going on? What's going on? Snake had crawled on the stage.
Oh, hell. Well, and Charles, as you know, in East Tennessee, if it's a snake, it is a copperhead 1,000% of the time. I mean, that's just East Tennessee science.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's the similar to Nate. It's the monkey in the ceiling fan. Like that shot just is like it's put into my brain. It's what do I want to say? It's branded into my brain. That's what I always think of right away. Jen, do you have one or yeah?
Go ahead.
I was going to say, Lewis in the chat. There's a spider scene.
Oh yeah, on the shoulders. It's in the intro.
Yeah, he brushes him off.
Yeah,
okay, all right. I had legitimately suppressed that one. So.
Well, that's what's so funny is just how he handles that, and then when he sees a snake, and it's just the difference between the two. I was just going to mention the music of just. I mean, I feel like that
Williams
throughout. Exactly. I mean, stays with you.
And I know you can go you could go through all of John Williams, but just to think of like from Jaws to figure to E.T. 82, just that chunk. You're talking Star Wars and Empire. You talk about Raiders. You're talking about Jaws, Close Encounters, and E.T. like in the same period of time,
right? Man.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
he was. Don't forget, brothers was back in the '60s. Lost in Space.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. That's right.
The spider
the marches. Yeah.
The spider thing always gets me. So that's where the Indy movies get me, because they always have to include bugs or varmints at some point. And it's like both. Yeah. I don't need that. Yeah. I don't need that.
Creepies and or crawlies, get them out of here. Not a fan.
But Jen, I'm glad you mentioned the John Williams score, because tonight, I mean, I know that you can probably do this across all of John Williams' music because it's John Williams' music, but one of the things I noticed was when they were in Egypt and Marion comes out wearing her clean white and red like blouse that she has on, the music that they play is almost like Leia's theme. I think it's very, very similar.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I think that's underrated too, is the romance involved. And I know a lot of that got taken out of the longer version that Kasdan had written, and then maybe taken out a little bit more in the, I think it was a 3-hour edit, I think originally. So, but people still point at kind of, again, a romantic nostalgia. I think that probably came from Wikipedia, but I've seen it elsewhere of, this nostalgia for the time, and also, this romance that's woven throughout it. It's its own tapestry in that way. It flows throughout the whole movie, and it doesn't punch you in the face, no pun intended, but it's really beautifully understated there. Does this movie die if Tom Selleck is in the role of Indiana Jones?
That's a good question.
Yes.
Because at one point he was cast as Indy, right?
Well, he was the front runner. CBS was kind of like, oh, everyone wants the star of Magnum PI, and we haven't even put it to series yet. Nope, he's not going anywhere. We're going to put this series forward. And so he got stuck with Magnum PI. And then there was the actor strike, and he could have filmed it anyway. So
Wow.
it was too late for Tom Selleck. But I got no beef with Tom Selleck. But what happens with Tom Selleck in the role?
Neither do I, and it's like I think he would bring a different type of cool to the role. But I mean, like, there's no denying Harrison Ford has this unique, iconic swagger. Well, like when he wants to try, like he is so like you can't look at anything else on the screen. So it's like I'm sure it would have ended up being a fine film, but I mean, we're here talking about it being an iconic film.
Yeah.
So.
It would have been a B movie to me. It would have had more of that feel with him in the role. I couldn't see him doing the more serious scenes where he's talking about, the Ark of the Covenant or his father's search for the Grail in 3. I could there's just no way I could buy Selleck as that, which is fine. It would just be a different kind of movie.
It really would have been more towards those pulp, serials that they drew inspiration from. It would have been taking those and turning them to 11 as opposed to taking the inspiration and making it their own thing.
Yeah.
I think it would have been also more like Brendan Fraser in The Mummy, where it just I have a rough time taking it. That movie is it's music and it's costumes and it's plot. But it's just everybody is a comedian. Yeah. There's no comic relief because everybody's cracking jokes. Mm-hmm. And I think it would have been closer to that.
Interesting.
Yeah, that's what I was going for. Exactly.
Yeah. I like those Mummy movies. I thought they were
I do too. I love Mummy. That's not going to be a bad movie. It was just different.
Exactly.
I like those too. I like those too. And I was actually thinking about them tonight because I wondered, like, Is there another franchise or even another film that you would put in the neighborhood or in the same category as Indy? Because I don't think The Mummy belongs in the same bucket. I know. No. I mean, sure, they're digging up
National Treasure.
No, I don't think so.
National Treasure is
because like the reason I thought of it is like, well, you've got iconic. If we keep bringing up Star Wars, but like, there's a lot of sci-fi franchises that you could all bucket together. But like, I don't even think Rocketeer belongs in the discussion because Indiana Jones is like his own thing. Like he's an adventurer, archaeologist. I mean, Tomb Raider. I don't know.
What about the Mission Impossible movies? They're not my favorite, but a lot of people feel like that's a world of its own.
I don't
know. Yeah, I guess
I'm not sold on that.
That might be closer because the idea for Indy was to be like a James Bond type character. So maybe something like that is a little closer, but it feels really unique. It doesn't feel like it really has a close comparison to me.
So Jay, are you saying that maybe Indy belongs in a museum?
His own museum.
Belongs in a museum. I said the thing from the thing.
Before we talk a little bit about the Indy and the theme parks and Indy under the Disney umbrella. So 4, we all feel certain ways about 4. I think I feel certain ways about different parts of 4 than others. But what are our hopes and our dreams for the 5th movie in the Indiana Jones franchise?
No aliens.
Can I throw out a hot take?
Did the aliens kill it for you, or did the CGI of the aliens kill it for you?
For me, CG killed it.
No. For me, it was the aliens top to bottom because I watched that whole movie, and when it became very obvious that it was aliens, it's lucky it was like a matinee and there were very few people in the theater because I threw my hands up and I was like, "They're giving us aliens? That's what we're doing?"
Okay, in the first movie,
the aliens.
In the first movie where the literal Ark of the Covenant melts Nazis' faces off. In the second movie where the villain pulls the heart out of several people. In the third movie where they're dealing with the Holy Grail. Aliens. That's where you draw the line.
Yes, because all of the rest of that is tied in. Because all the rest of that is tied in terrestrial mythology, religion, war, like all the different things that go on in right here on Earth.
Well, obviously, you're not.
Some people say that in Egypt, that the aliens came and gave Egyptian people, ancient Egyptian people, a lot of their technology, a lot of their, building blocks for their, building their society. So I mean, it's like, okay, was it my favorite movie? No, but at the same time, like, come on, man. Really?
You can't
like,
come on, man. Me, it's aliens.
Yes, I literally
aliens were never part of Indiana Jones.
Just did,
and you were wrong. So you're welcome.
Okay, all right.
At the
Good
time,
comeback,
in the 80s,
Potsy.
in the 80s,
Okay, Burger King.
So you guys remember that book that like the Ancient Aliens series is based on? It's like the face in Mars or something like that. But that was like a big book when I was in middle school. Everybody had it. They were all reading it. And it was all the whole Ancient Aliens kind of thing. And I think that's where it came from. But
Chariots of the Gods?
With that, it's Mutt. Mutt ruined it for me. He became the B movie. They tried to do a B movie with a dude with the switchblade comb and Indy. That didn't work for me. It's either going to be Indy or the Mummy. I like the movie.
And Frank threw out the CG of the aliens. It wasn't even the CG of the aliens. The moment that broke Indy 4 for me is when Shia LaBeouf is swinging in the trees with monkeys. At that point, it's like
that. Yes.
You didn't like that Chewbacca throwback to Return of the Jedi? Come on.
No. As somebody who looks a lot like a Wookiee, you would think that would be right up my alley. But no, at that point, it's like, oh, no. Oh, why? What you do?
You know, with these movies, I'm willing to suspend my disbelief to a great extent, you know, as I am with a lot, you know, all the movies we're talking about basically, but it hits that CG for me at the end. I'm willing to forgive a lot of things, but I'm right out. I'm right out the same way I'm out. I love the movie Signed so much. Shyamalan's Signed so much. As soon as I see that alien, I'm like, I love that entire movie, and then it's
Change
over.
the channel, Casey. Change the channel.
If it was a practical effect, would it have been okay for you?
I don't know. They didn't flesh it out enough. Again, it's similar to what they had with Last Crusade and Raiders for me of this history and foundation that was strong underneath. And maybe to Justin's point, it was of the earth, you know, of what everyone grew up with. Where aliens, they were still kind of creating their own thing, kind of sort of. Maybe I didn't know enough about it to know what they were resourcing. But
the whole Crystal Skull. Do you know the history?
Yeah, and I was there, but it didn't follow through.
He was that old. He was there when the Crystal Skull showed up.
Yeah,
the payoff was weak. The payoff was weak.
Frank's like, this isn't how it was done.
It's like, I remember when I visited the Aztec.
Back in my day, the Crystal Skull was in black and white.
All right, so no aliens in the new one.
No,
from Justin. That's cool. Fine. But what are they going to do? Are they going to go like to the dark side of the moon? Is there going to be something over there that we don't know about? Because what don't we know?
Hey, you know what? Fast and the Furious wants to go to space. Why not Indiana Jones? Oh, you groan. That's going to be the dumbest thing ever, but I am going to enjoy the entire 2-hour movie of Fast and the Furious 10, Cars in Space. Like, it's going to be so powerfully dumb, but it's going to be so much fun.
Fast and Furious movie.
They're gonna fight space with family.
I think that the only two things that draw to me. Either you gotta, you know, at this point, 1, 3, and 5 have to have similarities to me in order to have some kind of symmetry in the Indiana Jones universe. So you got to bring back Nazis and have them be war criminals somewhere, or there's some kind of, you know, first order uprising, or you got
space Nazis.
Space Nazis. Maybe the Nazis
didn't go to Brazil. He went to the moon,
or some kind of biblical undertones is the other thing. Hitler on the moon, you know.
That's by the guy who made Iron Sky. No, I love Phoebe Waller-Bridge. Just give her most of it. She's a good writer, good actress. I guess she's directed too. So I'm like, okay, well, that's I like it. Make her what's his name as a daughter. I don't care, but
Marcus Brody's daughter. Is that what you want to say?
Yes. Yeah, that's what I want to say. But to get back to 4, I there was a lot I didn't like. I tried to like it. There was just so much. Like the sidekick who was on his side, wasn't on his side, wasn't on his side. I'm like, pick a lane, bro. Pick a lane. What are you doing to me here? And then he does the exact same thing the guy in the Mummy does. It's like imminent disaster, the thing's falling down. Oh, let me take this jewel. Oh, thunder. Oh, earth. Oh, this jewel. The hell?
It's a perfect moment for him to freeze, actually.
Yeah.
Wrong. Well, I didn't realize Indy 4 really is just a mummy movie.
More so than anything, I think.
I guess that's fair. Yeah, and I mean, again, Joe's mentioned in the chat is mentioning the refrigerator gag. Didn't have a problem with that. I think it signaled a whole change. Like, this is not your regular Indiana Jones movie.
Right.
I'm willing to take that shift and that turn, but if you're gonna go there, then you got to give me a payoff. That's not a bootleg Close Encounters of the Third Kind with the spaceship taken off at the end. You can't do it.
Yeah. Yeah. And also John Hurt, was it? Just being kind of out of it and then in it. I'm like, no, you're paying money for John Hurt, let him be in it. Don't instead of wigged out saying nonsense. It's like he's a great actor and he's babbling. You don't pay money to anybody. You pay anybody money to hear him babble.
I like it. Completely more lucid as he was returning the skull. I kind of liked that aspect of it, but no, I agree. You're right.
But still, it's like I get 3 minutes of John Hurt. You could have put any chimp in there. It would have.
He's a man who fell out of the.
This point right here.
Suspension of disbelief. This is the world of Indy's play, but it also has come with fantastic payoffs in the first three movies. The first three movies have fantastic, well-shaped, well-crafted, strong payoffs. That the fourth one is, again, maybe it's just the CGI that took me right out of it, but this is not part of Indiana Jones' world of play to me.
And Frank, maybe that's exactly what it is for me too, is just that, like, I can totally forgive all the ridiculous stunts, like the unbelievable thing. There's, like, exactly to Joe's point, we forgive all kinds of things that happen in the Indiana Jones movies, and it's fine. But, like, I just never wanted sci-fi in my peanut butter and peanut butter in my sci-fi. Like, I just didn't want that.
That sounds like a terrible sandwich.
Put some fried bologna on that.
Yeah.
And some iceberg lettuce.
Make it good.
So, I mean, that's where it is. So this is as we shifted to the theme parks a little bit.
Hold on. We're still talking about 5. I want to ask you a question. For Indy 5, do we just say thank you, Harrison Ford? We give the proverbial tip of the cap and we just reboot this SOB? Like start fresh? Because, like, this is a question I kind of wanted to ask while we were all talking about how Raiders of the Lost Ark kind of stood alone. Like, if this movie was made today, a studio would have already had it, like, plotted out. We're going to launch this movie. We got 3 sequels planned. We got a spinoff coming. They're going to build the Indy universe. Like, do we just bite the bullet? Because, I mean, Disney spent, a blue jillion dollars to buy Lucasfilms not that long ago. And we know they're not just going to sit on it, be like, yeah, we got it. And we're not going to do anything with it because Disney, spoiler alert, likes money. So do we just like Indy 5, like start with a blank slate?
Well, I mean, part of me thinks that 4 was supposed to serve that purpose too. And I think while they were filming 4, they were like, we cannot give this guy the fedora at the end of the movie. Indiana Jones has to pick up that hat and say, no, kid, I'm going to shove this up your ass instead because you're stuck in this movie. And
would that have worked with Chaya?
I think you're right. I think that was the idea.
It 1000% was, yeah.
I think that was it. It was bad casting, and I don't know at what point they realized, holy crap, he can't continue. But anybody could have told him that. But I think he was supposed to carry on the franchise.
Yeah, he was.
No. And I don't know. I'm not sure who else is in the 5th besides Phoebe. But maybe it is. It's his chance to put his how old is he?
I saw in the chat somebody said he's 78.
That's what Lewis said.
78, not exactly the prime age to be an action star. And I think Charles nailed it perfectly. It's like the casting of Mud. I almost called him Mud. Of Shia LaBeouf, that was bad casting because I definitely think they were framing this as a way to continue the Indy franchise. What if we went back in time and we hired an actor who was just on one of these CW shows before he was cast as Andy Dwyer on Parks and Recreations, before he was cast as Star-Lord in Guardians of the Galaxy, a name that has been thrown around as a possible Indy replacement. What if they do get young Chris Pratt to play the character of Mutt? Would anybody have a problem with him picking up the fedora at that point?
At that point, no.
No. I'd like to see it again. I love Indy. Give me more Indy. Go back and show me some other adventures, but just not Mud. I mean,
my eye's a little on Phoebe Waller-Bridge in this, just because I'm like, could a daughter pick up this mantle? What's her place going to be? You know, so that's why I feel like they're keeping that a little bit under the proverbial hat too. Is I'm like, what's her place? What's it going to be? Because I think that's entirely possible.
What if they just decide? Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Charles.
Oh, I was just saying, I'm aboard with that. I love her. She's
great.
Even as a robot in Solo, she was cool. You know.
What if they decided to just do it big? Like if we're starting with a fresh slate, let's start fresh. Donald Glover, new Indiana Jones.
You just love Donald Glover.
I do love Donald Glover. He was hilarious in Mysterious Team and Community. His rapping career kicks ass. He was the best part of Solo. Like I failed to see the issue of casting Donald Glover as the new Indiana Jones. You know he would kill it.
Sure. He'd be great. Why not?
The professor at Harvard. No, not Howard. Howard.
Howard.
Don't teach me Howard. You know.
Often, many in our community here like to use the phrase #Save the Muppets. Is Indiana Jones kind of in the same category? Is Indiana Jones not shown same kind of respect since it's been under Disney's umbrella? I mean, you got the 40th anniversary coming up. You don't even hear about the Stunt Spectacular coming back yet. You got the attraction in Disneyland. Nate, I think you could speak to that a little bit. I've been on the coaster in Disneyland Paris, which is just kind of, should they be doing more in the parks, especially now that they own it? Or are they afraid? Jen and I have talked about this a little bit, and I think they're afraid to pull the trigger until they really got something on their hands.
Yeah, it seems like they're waiting for the next movie or something to glom onto to do something in the parks. But I mean, the Stunt Spectacular is still spectacular. I mean, I don't know. My son saw it for the first time last year and thought it was awesome, or 2 years ago, and he loved it. I mean, it's still really good. I don't think they're doing enough to pump it up, but it seems like they want to attach it to some vehicle where they can sell more merch and have people be excited about it. I don't like the ride in Disneyland, but I know everyone I know loves it. I was so hyped up about it. I expected more, but it's a good ride. But I like Dinosaur better. It's the same track, but everyone loves it, and I think it's the best. It's still a huge franchise. They have so much potential. Just like Star Wars, they could either do a horrible Rise of Indiana or come out with something great that's interesting. It's
well, and I think that's it too, and that's the other thing to consider for the fifth movie is they gotta be thinking about something that they can parlay into making more money off of. So I think that is something to consider about, like, well, what's going to happen? What's going to be? Maybe the religious part of it, or even the Nazi part of it, is not in the equation because that's not necessarily Disney friendly. So,
and sadly, Nazis have made a comeback for some stupid reason in the last few years. So,
God, I just want to say I am grateful for the newest Indiana Jones influence that we got in the Walt Disney World property, which is Jock Lindsay's. I mean,
that's true.
Okay. Yeah. Which, I mean, I do love Jock Lindsay's, but it's kind of sad that a bar is the best representation of Indiana Jones in the park. And it's like, don't get me wrong, it's like the Stunt Spectacular is an amazing show, but the fact that it hasn't come back yet kind of makes you scratch your head and be like, I don't want to be that guy. Is it going to come back? Because like you asked the question.
It is.
Exactly. Right. Like you asked the question, is this the hashtag Save the Muppets territory? It's like, this is a beloved franchise. I don't know if it's at the hashtag Save the Muppets level, because like, I don't know if many people would blink an eye, because like, let's be honest. It's like Galaxy's Edge, with the way that Hollywood Studio is laid out. If they really wanted to do an expansion, they could easily engulf Muppet Vision 3D, include Star Tours, and then swallow up Indiana Jones Stunt Show Spectacular, do a Star Wars Stunt Show Spectacular. You have another Star Wars bar in between the new Stunt Show and Star Tours, and then like, sorry, Muppets, like we'll put you in the parking lot or something. I don't know.
I discovered a lot of space at the Backlot Express 2 weeks ago.
Oh my God. Like, I'm glad you brought that up, because if you want to put an immediate presence of Indy in the park right now, you do it there. There is tons of space. They're doing literally nothing with it. They got daggone street signs up as, decor. Like lean into the whole, like, Indy found the scepter of the Septertum, and put it in a case, like up on the wall or something like that. Like
I think you're right. They're gone.
They very easily could do something, but it doesn't seem like Disney wants to do something.
I think they would rather put something Marvel there that doesn't conflict with Universal, that is outside of their deal. Like what Captain Marvel, maybe. I don't know if she's included in that character. Or
you can get your Carol Danvers chicken fingers.
Well, you got to do something with the Mohawk, her new Mohawk.
Oh, yes.
Cool. Yeah,
you can get a Mohawk of queso cheese on the Carol Danvers chicken fingers. I'm just going to be honest. I'm really hungry. I want chicken fingers.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds good right now. Some hashtag always MGM quick service sounds good right now.
Joe, the tank is still there. The tank is still there, Joe.
Yeah. I gotta get down there. I haven't been in a few years. So last thing I visited was like Universal, maybe 7 years ago. So I'm gonna go see what's up at the Disney park. I'm desperately trying to get Frank to host a cruise on the Disney cruise. When he came up with a fairly reasonable rebuttal, which is
I don't want to go on any cruises right now. One, the cleanliness, but yeah, the price point is always the.
Yeah,
what was the other one?
Like this cruise. The other one was if I don't like the cruise, I'll feel like I should have just went to the park.
That's always I think of it.
It's a great debate.
That's hilarious. Is there anything else that we neglected to mention here about Indiana Jones, the franchise, the parks, Jen?
I think Val had brought this point up earlier, and I was thinking the same thing, especially in the beginning of the movie, of just like how much is incorporated in the Great Movie Ride, and of course the Epic Stunt Spectacular. But when you're sitting there, you're like, oh, well, this is the entire scene. Oh, this is at the end credits. Oh, this is like, oh, wait, do I know this movie that well? Or do I just know the Great Movie Ride that well? I'm not sure which. But I feel like it was a major part of the Great Movie Ride. And then they got rid of that. So, I don't know.
If you walked into where they were playing all the trailers on the Great Movie Ride and you caught Raiders, I felt like you got a little more hype. Like you saw, Casablanca or Singing in the Rain, all that. But if you caught the Raiders, trailer at that, you're like, yes, Great Movie Ride, let's go.
Yeah. But yeah, no, I was just making a point of that. Then they get rid of Great Movie Ride, and so I don't know that I have much hope for Indiana Jones, but maybe they are going to hang on to it, and they may delay this opening a bit. and then they may see what happens with the movie and how much more do we want to do, or do we just squash this whole thing?
I feel like I'm sorry. I just feel like branding is 98% of their head, and they sooner cut off an arm than cut off a brand. When Hostess, this is an American thing. When Hostess went out, and somebody's like, "Oh God, Hostess is gone! Oh my Twinkies!" And I'm like, "Give it 2 years, maybe 3." I love the branding. It's like, I don't want to invent something if I can just bring it back. And I feel like, it's all unfortunately attached to a rather grumpy 78-year-old man. But that's why the 5 is, let's just wave enough of money in front of him. His wife, what's
Callista Flockhart.
Flockhart is gonna we got kids, so
let him tell him he can fly a plane. We'll do whatever you say.
He's gonna push him into that thing, and then they're gonna. I'm gonna guess there's like 2 or 3 people you would want to follow in another movie. 2 or 3 characters you would want to see more adventures of, because, like I say, Harrison, he's grumpy. He can beat himself out of it, but boy, it just leaks grumpiness, and I feel like if they can just get and Shia LaBeouf, whatever.
Both pronunciations are correct, just FYI.
I was thinking of the new True Grit, Mr. LaBeouf. I think, if he had sparkled, if they had cast Andrew Garfield maybe instead of Shia LaBeouf, they might have had something. But just the character as framed and the actor energy he brought to it, it was like, okay, we can't hitch our wagons to this horsey. It's not.
It's too bad they didn't use Army Hammer. He's still okay, right?
Let's move on.
Nice. I did not have Army Hammer reference on my bingo card. No, I did not.
I wanted to, just because Joe's brought up Ronald Lacey a couple times, I wanted to mention him real quick because I think it's funny. Like, when you see his face from the beginning of the movie, you're like, it looks fake. Like, it looks like it could melt off from the very beginning. But also, like, when he walks into the bar, in Marion's bar, Sam was watching the movie at the time with me, and she goes, just kidding, because she knew, but she did say, I didn't know the bad guy from Who Framed Roger Rabbit was in this movie.
That's funny.
What, the Weasel?
Well, he has a goon squad.
Yeah. That's hilarious. Joe mentions the Sala adventures. I think that would be fair game. When I read something doing all this stuff today that he was a mix. I think DeVito was up for the part, but he was locked in for Taxi. But I saw that Spielberg was looking for someone to like bring a little bit of Sir John Falstaff, of the Shakespeare lore into the role, and like that opened my eyes to like, oh my God, yeah, we should have more Sala in our life. So that was interesting to see as well.
But he's
Marion Ravenwood, like prequel kind of thing. How did Marion get that bar? How did she make it after leaving her father in Indy? She had a lot of liquor between that time and when we see her in Raiders. I'd like to see how she got there. That might be fun.
I mean, Marion is such a cool character. It's like I've seen a lot of people in the chat be like, no, we don't want Chris Pratt or Donald Glover or anybody to be another Indy. But it's like, I definitely feel like there's more meat to chew off this bone of the franchise. So it's like, maybe you do go the Marion prequel or the Marion spinoff or something like that. It's like, unfortunately, it's like if we had this conversation, about like 15 years ago before he just, unfortunately got fat, Nathan Fillion would have been a great new Indiana Jones. Sorry, Mal, I love you, but I mean, like, let's call a spade a spade. But like,
you just had to get a bigger brown coat. It's okay.
Yes, absolutely. As a Firefly fan, let's go ahead and cross Firefly and Indiana Jones, and they both can go away and be ignored by everybody. But like
No.
Indy is such a big name, and it's a shame that it does seem like it's being ignored. Like I talked about when I was growing up, I always thought that Indiana Jones was the other trilogy from Lucasfilms, and unfortunately it kind of feels like it's still being treated as the other Lucas at this point. Ford trilogy. I don't know the term for that, but it's oh yeah. In addition to Star Wars, we got the dude with the hat and the whip in the background.
Well, yeah, but it's the idea that, you know, in the last 32 years they've had one. Well, I mean, I guess you could throw in the Young Indiana Jones series, but you know, in terms of a movie, you've had one misstep. So it's in 32 years. So 89 for Last Crusade. You don't come back for 19 years. You have a bit of a misstep, and now it's another 12. And it's like, you know, so you get kind of like the yips about it.
But at the same time, it's like when they do have their one misstep, it's after they've taken 19, almost 20 years to come back. So they've had 2 decades of expectations being built up, like expectations that realistically they probably never could have hit.
Yeah.
So they had the absolute worst time to have that misstep. And unfortunately, it's like it's not what you've done for me, it's what you've done for me lately. And the last memory that a lot of moviegoers have of Indiana Jones is kind of like Jay talking about. It's like him fighting daggone aliens.
Yeah. I mean, and if you've
forgotten that, but you're right.
And you really think about the 20 teens being this time where, you know, everything got resurrected. Jurassic Park got resurrected. Star Wars got resurrected. You know, everything was coming back, and
with
yet
Chris Pratt and Donald Glover respectively. Landon knows what's up.
But Indy couldn't get it going. I mean, it's, you know, Star Wars was like on the fast track. They couldn't do the same thing. I mean, think about it. 05 for Revenge of the Sith. People unhappy. I mean, they were okay with that movie, but unhappy with the prequels in general. But they didn't have any problem relaunching Star Wars just like that. You know, Crystal Skull 2008, and it takes them this long to get to the next step. I mean, it's a really, and I feel like it's so much. There's so much there. I want to know what's going on behind the scenes.
The lack of conversation doesn't leave you with a good feeling as an Indy fan, does it?
No.
Well, I think I keep going back to the fact that the entire franchise is hooked on one guy who's, you know, just a little cranky, you know?
No, he's not a little cranky. He's daggone full-blown cantankerous cranky.
You know, and I'm not gonna hit the man for having that personality of what he likes, doesn't like, thinks, oh, geez, we did this again. And he's 78, and, you know, but when it's totally hitched on one character, you know, the new trilogies, you could just throw in Mark Hamill and well, once again, Harrison Ford, but also Carrie Fisher. And he's like, oh, 3 people my age I can hang with? Oh, okay, fine, I'll go. Daniels is going to be there. Okay.
Shout out to Peter Mayhew before he passed.
It's going to be less like me carrying the damn movie and more like, oh, I can hang with some friends. But his name's in the title. They changed the first movie to throw his name in the title. That's a lot of
that's true
stuff to put on your shoulders. And at his age, I mean, he's like, and that's the problem. I think that's really the problem is they're like, okay, what else? I think they really wanted that 4th one to launch a new franchise.
1000%, yes.
They've got to find a new person to take over the role, or it's done.
Yeah, and I think they would prefer 2 or 3.
Probably, yeah.
Ooh, Joe makes an interesting point. You just highlighted it. What if they treat Indiana Jones kind of like they do with James Bond, just a title?
Oh yeah, or it's like the Santa Claus. If you put on the fedora,
Okay, I'm just asking a question, but here you go being an a-hole about it. Thanks. I do hope there's snakes in your room. I do hope there's snakes in your room.
I was being honest. I was being honest. But
You're just mad because you didn't come up with that joke. Come on.
No, I think it's a good point.
Which, by the way, speaking of the Santa Claus, I'm waiting for the Dark Gritty reboot. So.
I mean, he killed him to get the job. What the hell?
Thank you. Exactly. Like, yes. Start a Christmas movie with some hardcore roof murder.
It's good stuff.
Well, and I think James Bond is James Bond when the right guy is playing James Bond, and everyone has different opinions and feelings about who's playing James Bond. So I think they're going to have to go for it once it's time. And see what happens, because
so Idris Elba is going to be the next Indiana Jones.
Ooh,
which, by the way, I wouldn't hate. Oh my God! Like, I love that idea. Oh, I really like that idea.
Lewis's point about Bond here. I mean, I don't disagree, but I think again, everyone's gonna have different levels of suspension of disbelief. Like, I was never a big Bond guy, so Sean Connery, I was like, no, there's Sean Connery movies, and then there's the other guys doing the movies. But I wasn't a Bond fan. But then Daniel Craig movies, I really liked. So I was like, okay, I'm accepting that this is James Bond's world.
I can get that.
So, it's just gonna vary based on the audience.
Okay, here's outside bet. Outside bet is they introduced in the new Indiana Jones movie Doc Savage. Just try to get that franchise going. No Doc Savage comes in the house.
No.
They had the Phantom. They had Billy Zane doing the Phantom.
There we go. Yes.
That whole pulp era, and it didn't go anywhere. That was sad. But
does Disney own the Phantom? Like there's like a 40% chance they do. So let's just go ahead and tie it in.
They own almost everything.
Those cereals are so old, nobody owns them. There's a weird subplot, subsection of comic book characters anybody can do because nobody owns them.
Who else is upset that John Carter failed? Okay. That was the same kind of thing. An old character they could have done something with.
Yeah, there were problems.
Yeah, starring Riggins from Friday Night Lights. He's going to go to Mars and fight people.
He can jump really high.
The star of Battleship, ladies and gentlemen.
I think that we can come up with so many solutions that none of us, that we all can't agree on. Like, yes, that's it. That's what they got to. Like, the fact that we all have different things is the problem everyone is having.
No, excuse me. I'm wearing that around. I clearly know what I'm talking about.
I agree with Justin's take. No aliens in the new one. Something different.
I agree with whoever said in the chat, you just need a good script.
Yeah, that's true.
I don't think 4 was a good script at all.
Right.
Even
I would agree with that.
It could have been Incan Ghost, and it still would have been Mayan Ghost, and it still would not have really popped.
Or my Incan Ghosts.
But you just need a good script. That's the biggest part, and then you just go.
Yeah. All right.
And to answer Lewis's question, I would definitely watch Stringer Bell from The Wire kicking an archaeologist named Bob. Like, sign me up for that.
All right. I think that's a strong note to go out on.
Absolutely. The Wire reference. Go watch The Wire on HBO now.
I did. I have never watched The Wire, so
it's so good. Like I know it's a cliche, like a fat white kid from the suburbs saying that The Wire is great, but I mean it's a cliche for a reason.
I loved him in Luther. Just
I need to watch that.
Good show. Yes.
All right. Well, that will wrap up this meeting of the Forever 44 Fedora Club. Let's go around the horn with all the plugs, starting with Charles.
Well, starting in July, I will be at the Sterling Renaissance Festival. We'll have 6 weekends after I don't know dates. I just go there and remember my contract tells me. And then I'll be at the Pennsylvania Renaissance Fair. And then I will be the next thing you might actually catch me is here in Cleveland, the Mr. Kringle's Inventionasium is really trying to pop up this Mr. Kringle. So that's why the beard's coming out.
This guy.
By November, it might look like something.
Looking good right now. It's looking good. Nate Hardy.
Catch me at Nathaniel Hardy on Twitter as I destroy my career prospects. And hype up the shows of all these people. They're great. That's basically what I do.
We love you, Nate.
Have a plug there, Nate.
You guys are the best. Follow them all. Twitter. Go to the TikTok. I don't really understand it. I don't know how to use it, but Jen does, and I don't know. And Justin's got some videos going now on Facebook and YouTube. So come on, check it out.
Do it.
That sounded kind of confrontational, Jay. Do it. I dare you. Come on, reach for the gun. Do it.
Go ahead,
Landon.
Landon.
Okay, Landon, do it.
No, Jay, please go ahead because the king goes last.
Okay.
Oh.
Well, Landon and I are currently holding the torch for a little show called The Morning Monorail. Every Monday morning, we've got a new podcast. If you're into Disney news and other random ridiculousness, check us out. We're on all the podcatchers. MorningMonorail.com is the website. And we're Morning Monorail on all the socials. Hope to see you there. Landon, do it.
Oh, yeah, that does drop on Monday. Big things coming for the Morning Monorail podcast. We got a Patreon launching on June 14th. So everybody get excited and give us your money because, that's what people do on the internet. You give ding-dongs money on the internet, and we're your favorite ding-dongs. Wait, that sounded weird. Anyway, LANDOZ, please go follow me, Landon Doan. I'm the best, Landon Doan, not the rest. That's where you can follow me 280 characters at a time on Twitter. I'm not even going to plug my website at this point. I haven't updated it in forever. So y'all don't need to go there. Maybe go to the iTunes store and subscribe to Near Fall Radio, a podcast on the sweet science of professional wrestling. But again, hasn't been updated in forever because I'm going to be honest, wrestling has kind of sucked with the exception of All Elite Wrestling. WWE is just a straight up dumpster fire. Raw continues to hit record low viewership every week. They keep finding new lows. Why do I keep paying attention to professional wrestling? It's because I'm a sucker, I'm a junkie, and I have nothing else to do.
Can you plug that moonshine too before you go?
Oh, yes, absolutely. I definitely can. Let me tell you about my friends at Old Smoky Mountain Moonshine. I bought two bottles yesterday afternoon because yesterday, as we're recording this, that would be Thursday, June the 3rd was international or national or just moonshine day. I don't know how these things work. Regardless, it inspired me to buy moonshine. So I bought two flavors of moonshine. I bought apple pie moonshine, and then I bought blackberry moonshine. So what I have been doing over the last couple of days, I have been mixing blackberry moonshine with lemonade, and it tastes like a sweet tart, and it gets you drunk. So this afternoon, I decided to mix up a couple of them there bad boys, the sweet tarts, as I'm going to call them, and watch a Goofy movie on Disney Plus. By the way, Disney Plus, sign up, streaming for $8.99 a month.
They're not a sponsor. Stop it.
Oh yeah, yes. Please sign up.
Pay that $8.99 for your Patreon.
Please sign up with promo code Forever44 Fedora Club, and you will get an error when you do. But yeah, so, I have had a heck of an afternoon, and for whatever reason, I decided to switch to Tennessee water, particularly Lynchburg water, some Jack Daniels. And speaking of the great state of Tennessee, the Tennessee volunteer baseball team walk-off grand slam in the regional for the College World Series playoffs. So that, ladies and gentlemen, is what's up, and that is how you do some plugs.
Very nicely done. All right, Jen, you get to follow that with the Dillos. There's plugs.
I'm not following Landon. What?
How you like me now?
Oh, look at the new kitty that Nate has.
His name is Ruthless.
Oh,
Ruthless.
Oh,
My son named him.
love
Indy
it.
doesn't look ruthless.
This kitty is super ruthless. Look.
Oh, so little.
That's a cute.
well,
Cute.
thanks to everybody in the chat tonight for playing along and motivating us to speak on certain topics and issues surrounding Raiders of the Lost Ark and the 40th anniversary. I believe the next meeting, whenever that may be, will be the Blues Brothers. We're going to tackle the Blues Brothers.
Oh, we got
Right.
to have
to kick
Sam
it up
here
a
for that
notch.
one.
I hate
Oh,
Illinois Nazis.
My God, seriously?
That's where we're going next. I think it's time to kick it.
Nazis. Wow.
So,
Okay.
yeah.
Well,
We're gonna be on a
the best
mission.
movies ever.
I'm going from the
Mission
mission, the
from God.
transmitter to God to the mission to God is really that's my shift to there. So.
What a segue.
Ooh,
You earned your MFA.
All right.
let me just say
Until that
this:
time.
shut up. There might be costumes in addition to the crown
Oh,
for
okay.
the Blues Brothers.
There we go.
Big.
All right. I like that. I thought Steffers might be here so she could walk up the New York block again at the end, just to pass the little Blues Brothers stage. But we'll have to have the universal influence for that next time as well. So thanks very much, everybody. Like the video before you're out of here. We got the kitty flying. We got the Millennium Falcon flying. I'm sure Landon's seeing things flying in front of him from the moonshine. So have a great night, everybody.
Bye.
Deuces.